DrEaMwEaVeR. What's up, everybody? It's your boy, Stephon, and by the word, power, and spirit of God, I am an interpreter of dreams. Okay, so today I wanted to talk about the destruction of St. Louis, Missouri. In fact, it manifested itself in a dream that came to my mother. Now, what she saw was not necessarily the sweeping away of St. Louis, Missouri, but the going away of the presence of the Lord from St. Louis, Missouri. Okay, so before St. Louis is swept away and completely condemned because of the murder of Torrance Moore, which we're looking at this word right here. I talked about how St. Louis will be placed on the whipping post because the St. Louis Police Department's rebelliousness and disobedience. But yes, before that happens, God is leaving the city with me, and He's not just taking His Spirit with Him; He's taking His grace, His love, and everything else away from the city, in what will result in undoubtedly the most demonic and bizarre days ever witnessed in the earth. Man, it's going to be crazy. But in my mother's dream, she did witness the complete chaos that befell St. Louis because the Lord is leaving St. Louis with Stephon. Unfortunately, all the inhabitants of St. Louis are hard-hearted and rebellious to an unthinkable extent. And when Stephon leaves, there'll be no purpose for the Lord to keep His Spirit here and to keep it as my place of refuge anymore. But He will be leaving with me, and He will be taking His grace, and it will result in the most demonic sights ever witnessed in human history. A crucifixion of police officers and people, the irregular townspeople, the murder and massacre and brutal ways of the townspeople, rapes, just the most bizarre, murderous scene ever witnessed in the earth. Because not only did God take away His Spirit and His love and everything, but He took away His grace too. He's removing everything and leaving St. Louis to the devil. It will be the devil's night. But what did my mother see in her dream anyway? So, unfortunately, my house is like all the other houses in St. Louis, and the inhabitants, who are only my brother and mother at this time, are hard-hearted and rebellious like the city. Not so much rebellious, but definitely hard-hearted. Therefore, I don't think that they'll be able to hear or see the fact of what's going on, that all hell is going to break loose. So they'll be stuck here in St. Louis. I guess I'll try and tell them to escape, but they probably won't because their hearts aren't right. Anyway, my mother had a dream, and within it, guys were trying to break down the door of the house and get into the house. It was chaos outside apparently, and they broke down the door and they were coming in. And I had to explain to her that my house was a safe house. This house is a safe house, and no trouble or no type of demonic influence or violence can get into the house. It can't happen. It's impossible. Because of my grandmother's prayers, it is a safe house. So, although they might come to the door and try and break it down, they won't ever be able to succeed in that, because indeed the Spirit of the Lord keeps the house and the doors of my house. So, yes, I had to explain that to her and show her that although it might get bad in St. Louis, that it won't get so bad that the doors of the house are broken into. That won't be where it's going. So I just went ahead and showed her that, and there you go. Another interpretation of dreams. So trouble is coming, but it won't get so bad that the doors are broken down. So if you will, what I will be able to tell her is to gather up the neighbors that are here and take them within the house, because it's the only safe place. Because I believe within the dream, did they break into Stephanie's house and Jalen's house? I forget. But I know for sure they were trying to break into this one. So I forget which one, how the dream exactly went. Maybe my mother recalls it directly. But the interpretation I had for her was that the doors of the house will not be broken into. So there you have it. That's another interpretation of dreams. The chaos that is befalling St. Louis got into my mother's dream. So I'm aware of the fact that when I leave St. Louis, Missouri for good, when it's no longer needed as a place of refuge for me, when I get the phone call from Mizzou, dude, like that, then the Lord is leaving with me. So we've seen the Lord remove his presence from the football field, and we saw the war that broke out there. And then we see the Lord remove his presence from St. Louis. We will see that. And we'll see the spirit of war break out in St. Louis like never before. So keep your hearts and your minds right, that the Lord leave you not, that he be with you and keep you safe. That's the key within any war zone, because war zones are the results of either a some demonic population, pouring out chaos, whether it be the inhabitants or the invader. But there's not a good spirit behind the spirit that behind those that bring war, or the places where war is maintained. So I just wanted to tell you about that interpretation of the dreams. I hope you enjoyed it. If you want to hear more interpretations of dreams, just check out my channel. Yeah, check my channel out. And search the playlist, DrEaMwEaVeR playlist. So it's all in the same place on the DrEaMwEaVeR playlist. I hope you guys enjoyed this podcast, and I'll be catching you guys again with more interpretations of dreams and more podcasts. Peace out.